They called her unclean, a plague, the most dangerous woman in the world. No, not me when I give up carbs. Let me introduce you to Mary Mallon, aka Typhoid Mary. Mary Mallon was born in Northern Ireland in 1868 and moved to New York City in 1884. She quickly started working as a cook for wealthy families, but something was amiss. Every family that she worked for, people got ill with typhoid fever. In 1906, Mary was working as a chef in a wealthy Oyster Bay, Long Island home when 10 out of the 11 family members got sick with typhoid fever. Now, this was unusual. Typhoid fever was seen as a lower class disease, so a family hired an investigator to get to the bottom of it. In March of 1907, George Roper, a sanitary engineer, thought it might be Mallon, so he confronted her, asking for a sample of her blood, feces, and urine. Mallon, rightfully, was kind of freaked out. See, Mallon had never been sick. She had never shown any of the symptoms of typhoid fever, the vomiting, the rashes, the diarrhea. That never happened because it turns out Mallon was a healthy carrier of the disease. She tried to hide from the sanitary engineer, but they found her and forced her into quarantine on North Brother Island. Now, of the people who had had direct contact with Mary, 22 people had become infected and a few had died. In fact, there was a massive outbreak throughout New York City with 3,000 people infected. The theory was that Mary Mallon was patient zero. Mallon was released from quarantine in 1910 as long as she promised to never work with food again so that she wouldn't contaminate it. Well, 5 years later, she was found in the kitchen at Sloan Maternity, where she had infected another 25 people. The media then got a hold of the story and gave her the nickname Typhoid Mary. On March 27, 1915, Mary Mallon would be quarantined for the second and last time on North Brother Island. The doctors wanted to remove her gallbladder, thinking that's where the typhoid fever was stored, but she refused. Again, she didn't really understand her disease. Well, Mallon would remain in quarantine until the day she died in 1938. Now, why would Mary Mallon knowingly go around and infect people? Well, that's the whole thing. She didn't know. Doctors ran tests on her, showcased her off to scientists like a peep show to the world, her words, but they never explained to her that she was a carrier of the disease. Mary Mallon's case is studied in bioethics to this day. Is it justifiable to quarantine one person for the rest of their life for the greater good? Plus, there were many carriers of typhoid fever. Why Mary? Well, Mary was a woman, an Irish immigrant, had no family, and was angry about the situation. She was the perfect villain. I hope you remember Mary Mallon's name and not Typhoid Mary. Typhoid Mary is a walking plague. Mary Mallon is a woman who was in prison for the majority of her life, experimented on by doctors for a disease she never understood.